your overall feeling on camp, and I still think yesterday it was live tackling. What? They went live during practice yesterday? Are they trying to step it up? Is this a new, meaner, leaner, aggressive football team that we're about to see?
Well, I don't know about any of that because practice really didn't look any better yesterday than it did the previous couple of days.
But they went live. I mean, in between charting throws from all three quarterbacks that were out there, I mean, it's either chart throws or, oh, my, they're going live.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kevin Stefanski, obviously one of the points of emphasis this training camp is to crank up the intensity, to make this a tougher football team, a more, as he'd like to say, calloused football team. I don't know that that's going to help them score any points this year, but I get it, and I certainly understand it. And yeah, I mean, it was surprising yesterday because we're all looking at each other like, we're pretty sure we have never seen this before in a Kevin Stefanski training camp where they are tackling live. So I don't know if it helps them win any more games this fall, but it was a surprising sight to see. That's for sure.
Well, Kevin Stefanski had talked about some of that stuff, Daryl. So maybe they're trying to get tougher, more physical, which isn't that kind of what football's all about?
Yeah, it is. And let's be honest about it. The Browns haven't been the most mentally tough team in recent years among the league leaders in pre-snap penalties. That absolutely has to change this year. Their margin for error this year is basically next to none, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So you can't be starting 1st and 15 because of a mental lapse. You're already behind the sticks with just what you have to work with. So it's something that they've looked at, obviously, this offseason. It's something that, Kevin Stefanski has wanted to make a point of. And that is that they just have to be more mentally and physically stronger. And again, I'm not convinced that it's going to help them win any more games this fall, but it is nice to see Kevin Stefanski once again, because he's done this throughout his coaching career, but here in Cleveland. But it's nice to see once again that Kevin Stefanski is willing to pivot and make changes in an effort to make this a better football team.
Daryl Ruiter, Browns beat reporter who has covered every second of camp, minicamp, and everything he possibly can think of. Michael Woods released injury designation.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? And obviously that creates opportunity, especially where we're hearing there's some young guys, free agents that are kind of pushing these guys a little.
Yeah, and I mean, look, receiver continues to be a major question mark. I think that's fair to say. I mean, you basically have Jerry Jeudy. We have an idea what Cedric Tillman might be, but he's got to be healthy and he's got to go out there and prove it, right? And then it's just the rest of it's just a bunch of question marks. Now, that potentially could be camouflage this year because of the volume of 12 personnel they might plan to deploy, throw into the running backs out of the backfield as well. But yeah, receiver's a problem on this team. And it's something that they're going to at some point have to address. I don't know that there's any solutions through the waiver wire, but definitely in 2026, that needs to be a focal point to bring in some help at that position, because again, there's just way too many questions in that room.
There's one thing about the wide receiver, Daryl, that I think, okay, that's great. Luke Flourier from Kent State, local guy, getting a lot of pub. Same thing with Gage Larvadain, whose name has popped up like crazy in the last couple of days.
Yeah, him and Shedeur Sanders, I think, are BFFs.
Which is all great. The only thing I'll say, each one of those guys is 5'8" and under 180 pounds.
Oh, is that a problem?
I'll go with one of them because, but two of them, I don't know. And you have DeAndre Carter, who's 5'8", but at least he weighs 190.
Well, they're also trying to tell us a 5'11" quarterback can play too. So, I don't know what to tell you there, Jeff.
Wow, Daryl.
It's kind of a salty.
You can have one 5'8" wide receiver. I just don't. I don't want to keep my fingers crossed on Ced Tillman and Deontay Johnson. Right. And then fill out the squad with a couple of 5'8" guys.
Well, and look, Deontay Johnson's starting to have himself a nice camp.
Yeah,
right?
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
But you feel like he's a ticking time bomb too. Right? I mean,
Yes.
that's
you're wondering, right? You're wondering.
Right. I mean, that's my big concern with him. He's a ticking time bomb. So that's kind of why I omitted him a little bit. Whatever you get from him is gravy. I have no expectations to get anything out of him. So if they're able to get some production out of him, that's fantastic, right? That's a win. No question about it. You mentioned DeAndre Carter, right? Could we finally maybe see a little something from Jamari Thrash, Caden Davis, who's getting some reps. I would be surprised if Luke Floria made the roster, but that's just me. And I'm not hating on the kid. I just think that there is a little bit of an uphill climb for there.
Well, sure, yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking that he's a guy they're going to try and sneak through and get him to waivers, so that they can maybe put him on the practice squad.
Sure.
That's now that can change. A lot can change between now and the end of August, right? In that position room. But let's give the kid his flowers. I think he's doing everything the organization wants. He looks good on the field. I just feel like maybe for him, it's a little bit of an uphill climb. And look, I think there's a possibility they actually don't keep 6 wide receivers on this roster. I think if they're going to keep the 4 quarterbacks, the position group that will have to sacrifice a spot is going to be that wide receiver room instead of keeping the customary 6 that we're used to seeing. I think they keep 5.
Well, let me throw one thing at you, because we're in agreement about the talent. Your fingers are crossed that there's enough talent there to make it work. Right. My guy DJ Chark signed with Atlanta, so he's off the board. Would you?
My condolences to you.
Thank you very much. Would you bring in a free agent who's out there, or would you just sit tight and wait and see how it goes?
I think right now, for at least the next 2 weeks, let's see what you got. Okay,
through the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what you got. Let's give some of these guys a chance to keep getting the reps that they're getting and see if there is a little something there. There's no harm in that. Now, when we get toward the end of after we get through the preseason, we get toward cut down day, the last Tuesday there in August. My thoughts are going to change, I think, significantly. But for right now, Jeff, there no harm, no foul. Give these kids, get these kids reps. Let's see what's there. Fingers crossed, hope you find a little something, right? Somebody continues to surprise and perform well, and you want to give them a shot. But for me, I think it's when you get to that initial 53-man roster construction and actually beyond that on the Wednesday to follow, I think that's when you've got to look, okay, let's get serious here. We need to bring in another receiver off the waiver wire. Now, I'm going to caution Browns fan. Not to commit the mistake that they have committed often so many other times after the initial 53, when waiver claims started to be filed. There is nobody they're going to claim on waivers that's going to help them to win the Super Bowl. I just want to throw that out there.
See, I agree with you on that. I do. I wonder, though, would a vet like Keenan Allen now, but I'm kind of with you. Though I'd like to add talent to that group, let's see what you have. Let's see if any of these guys can step up for you. What's Cedric Tillman look like for you so far?
He's looked all right. I mean, look, outside of Jerry Jeudy, nobody's wowing anybody out there right now. I think we know what he's going to be, but again, he's got to be healthy and available, and he's got to show it. Look, this is an offense that is not scoring a lot of points in training camp right now. Okay, these are like Eric Mangini practices. They're not scoring. And when they are scoring, it's because they're, finishing the play, if you will. Okay. That's like really super concerning to me because you need to score points. This is not a high-powered, prolific offense by any stretch of the imagination. I think part of that is the quarterback situation. Part of that is skill position deficiencies. But, it's going to be on Stefanski here to kind of craft something that can work with what he's got. He does have some pieces. He's got David Njoku, right? He's got Jerome Ford. Harold Fannin Jr., I absolutely love. I think that kid has the potential to be an absolute beast in this league. I think that is one hell of a third-round pick there by Andrew Berry. Big fan of that young man. It's just been very underwhelming watching this offense perform. And, I'm caught between the middle, right? Okay, well, is the defense back? Are they just that good? Or on the other side of the corner, okay, is the offense just that inept? Are they that caught up in this quarterback competition and the consistently inconsistent reps, because they're, 5 plays, it's Joe Flacco. The next 5 plays, it's Dylan Gabriel. And then it's back to Joe Flacco and vice versa, right? Oh, well, we got to get Shedeur Sanders on the field for some reps. Let's throw him in there for, 5 to 7 plays. You're not able to really establish any rhythm. So, I'm trying to grant them the grace of this competition and trying to feel out the quarterback position. But I'm telling you, they're 7 practices into this thing, and 5 of them I have left with Eric Mangini traumatic flashbacks from watching his practices because there's no points being scored with any semblance of regularity. And when they are, it's from the finishing. You can't, they're not clean, if that makes sense. It's not clean, explosive plays. So it is a tough evaluation because we've had a couple of practices and pads. One of them was live. And again, I'm caught between defense being back and elite and really, really good. And they're just shutting these guys down versus, the offense is what I feared it was going to be going into this season. And they're really going to have to ground and pound the football this year for them to be successful outside of throwing it to David Njoku, Harold Fannin Jr., and Jerry Jeudy.
Daryl, as always, thank you. I do have to let you know, I'm sorry about this. The shortwave radio station at the South Pole has rescinded the deal with you. You did not pass the physical. However, I am hearing rumors now that there is a radio operator somewhere at the North Pole that was willing to put up $16 rather than $15. So there's a chance your trade may still go through. Congratulations.
Well, I better work on my Santa chuckle then if I'm headed to the North Pole.
Well done. Well done. Daryl Ruiter, our Browns beat reporter. Thank you as always, my friend.
Have a great week, guys.
I just want to talk about the wide receiver situation. And, you brought it up that you've got some young guys that are pushing the envelope that are under 6 foot.
They're under 5'10".
Okay, well, I'm just trying to. In a Ray Farmer offense, that's killer, isn't it?
Wow.
I mean, he likes short receivers.
Wow.
Is that not? Am I saying something that wasn't true?
Wow.
Am I saying something that is not true?
All I know is that right now the Browns have 3 wide receivers on their roster who are listed at 5'8". That's too many.
If you can catch and you can get in the end zone, I don't really care.
I didn't say you shouldn't have them. I just said it's too many. And if you're going to use DeAndre Carter strictly as a return guy and not at wide receiver, then you have Luke Floria and Gage Larvadain fighting it out for a spot. And Andy, maybe both of those guys are able to get on the practice squad. That'd be awesome. I mean,
so you're saying they're in trouble if they both end up on the regular roster as backups?
What would you think of a wide receiver crew? And Daryl said 5 guys. Well, if they only have 5 guys, and there's no way that the 2 young guys would both make the roster. It just wouldn't happen. I mean, think about it. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Deontay Johnson, and 2 undrafted 5'8" guys. That's not happening.
I guess it depends how you look at the guy who's 6'4" and 6'3" that can catch the ball.
I'm all for a 5'8" guy. That's just fine. I just don't need 2 or 3 of them.
I mean, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I like my wide receivers more than 6 foot. I'm just saying. In fact, I like them closer to 6'1", 6'2".
I like 6'3", 6'4" guys who weigh about 230.
All right, well, I'll give you those, and we call them. And what does this team call them, though? This team has those receivers. They're called tight ends.
You have Cedric Tillman. I like Cedric, man. I'm so hopeful for him. 6'3", 215, by the way. And you know who else, Andy, who is an interesting guy? And I don't, this is going to sound nasty, and I don't mean it to. I don't want him to fall into the Michael Woods category.
Okay.
Jamari Thrash. And Jamari had some
Jamari's
moments.
Not there, though.
Well, no, this is the category I mean.
Okay.
And don't forget Michael Woods, too. Right now, it's like, hey, you got 3 wide receivers. Nobody's talking about Jamari Thrash. Jamari has some ability. I thought he did if you look at video of him from Louisville when he was in college, and I have, man, he was tough. Now that's in college. He was tough. And I hope he can become clearly the 4th wide receiver, and not just to fill a roster spot, but to contribute, be a real contributor. And don't count him out. I think he has some ability. I really do.
Here's the issue I have, and it's Pro Football Focus, right? So you automatically look at your wide receiving core, and you're like, oh, I wonder about Tillman, and is Deontay Johnson going to be able to be anything? And Jerry Jeudy, I feel good about him, right? And so you look at it, and that's probably a pretty fair assessment of the way Browns fans look at your top 3 wide receivers. And then you go to look to see how the rest of the world looks at your team, and you go to Pro Football Focus, and they're telling you that the Browns have the 32nd best wide receiving core in the league. That's kind of a hard pill to swallow.
Ahead of who, Andrew?
That would be Ohio State. No, they're not. Ohio State's ahead of them.
Trust that's not the case.
To be honest with you, Ohio State is better.
I'll trade him right now. Position group for position group. Let's go. Get Smith in here. Let's go right now.
You say Ohio State, and you want that to be a joke, but it's not. You would take Ohio State's wide receiving core over the Browns.
Probably. Only because of the potential of Jeremiah Smith. All right, move along. Let's not go off on that team. No, come back, Andy.
No, I'm already there.
Come back, Andy. He's already going to the keyboard, folks.
I'm just
come back. Come back.
No, I don't want to come back.
Come back.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, Cornell Tate and Jeremiah Smith alone just make me think. And Brandon Ennis, we'll see.
Plus, they signed Christian Henry, didn't they? Kid coming in. Didn't they? Big time recruit.
Stop. Why are you putting me through this misery? Why are we going through this misery? Yeah. Thanks for the misery. So is there any hope with that? I mean, I don't want to be down on the wide receiving core. No. I want to believe that quarterbacks can make wide receiving cores better, but we don't really have a quarterback right now, so I can't have that. I feel good about our tight ends. Okay. Yay. Is that enough to win games?
Well, you know what concerns me more than all of our talk? Daryl saying how poor the offense has looked in camp so far.
Yeah,
not getting the ball in the end zone. As Daryl said, they're getting into the end zone on plays that don't get finished. What does that mean? It means where, that thud thing, right? We're just going thud today. So in other words, we've hit you, but we're not allowed to bring you to the ground, and we're going to let you go, and then you run to the end zone. Okay, thanks. That's not a touchdown.
Yeah, but they're not the only ones. I mean, everyone that's practicing now from NFL to CYO, they're all doing thud tackling. They should be doing thud. Probably the CYO is probably doing the most tackling of all. Let's be honest. They probably tackle more now during practice than any other level of sports. I just don't know how to look at the wide receiving core other past Jerry Jeudy. Sorry. And I'm so
hopeful for Cedric Tillman. I really am.
But you're sitting here on hope.
You know what I'm sitting here on? I'm sitting here on a small sample size.
Who will have more yards, Tillman or Deontay Johnson this year?
That's a great question. Tillman.
I'm going to go Johnson.
Okay.
I think as long as everything goes forward for Deontay Johnson and he likes playing here, they put him in a winning position, that we're not seeing any of the, he said, again, try to forget about the last year. Okay. I'm trying to do that. If he, he puts his nose to the ground and plays, first of all, he could have giant money on the other side of this, right?
Nose to the ground?
I don't know. With a ball? What do you nose to the grindstone?
Is he a dog?
Well, why would you say that?
He's a dog.
That's not what I was saying.
That's good here in Cleveland.
Well, I want him to work. If he works hard and just does what, just
that'd be a grindstone.
That's what I said. I made up for it on
nose to the ground. You came back. I got you. I had your back.
I
Kinda.
came back and said, I'm sorry, I meant nose to the grindstone. And by the way, who puts noses to the grindstone anyway? Why would you do that?
That would just rip that thing off.
Yeah, why would you
I
ever
don't
do
understand.
that? Like, what is the origin?
I mean, you get a scab on that thing, then it's, you need sunscreen forever.
It is
you
a pretty
should
ridiculous.
wear one of those little things over your nose.
Basically, I want him to work hard and just play football. How's that sound? And be a great football player like we think he can be. And
when I said Tillman, by the way, it wasn't because I'm down on Deontay Johnson. I like Deontay circa Pittsburgh 4 years ago. I do. I thought he was really a nice receiver. It's about my optimism about Cedric Tillman. I honestly, Andy, my fingers are crossed. If crossing my fingers works and Deontay Johnson does what he has done in the league, and Cedric Tillman does what he did in short sample sizes with throwing quarterbacks over the last couple of years, I think the Browns wide receivers will be pretty good. And then you add a little depth, and hopefully Jamari Thrash is that guy, and that gives you 4. So I can see a path to having 4 pretty good wide receivers, and I can see a path to having 1.
By the way, nose to the grindstone origin.
Good Lord, man.
Is the practice of knife grinders
Meredith,
who need to bend over the stone or even lie flat on their fronts to sharpen their blades in order to hold knives against their stone.
Meredith, take the keyboard away from
It
him.
also means working extremely hard.
I would try, but I think it's attached to the desk.
I had some knives sharpened the other day, a set of steak knives.
So wait a second. You want me to get off of the definition of something that we both said multiple times, and now you have a knife story for us?
$6.
Only Jeff
It was
Phelps.
$6 a knife or a dozen knives. I thought, what? Needed to ask the price first.
When's the last time you've had to have a pair of skates sharpened?
Since I've never owned skates, I'll
and
say
then when you
never.
have 3 pairs of skates that have to get sharpened because Dad's got to join in the group.
Hockey boy, you know how many times I've been on skates in my life?
I'm going to say 0.
Once.
Yeah. And how was it?
I was terrible, obviously.
Well, if you would have got and tried it a second time, you may not have been terrible.
Jeff,
I'm going to tell you,
I was done.
When it comes to skating, and I want you to look me straight in the eye, I'm going to tell you how this works. It's about the process. You just have to keep on doing it.